So it predates steampunk.
Predates steampunk by a long time.
When was steampunk invented?
Probably the 80s.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Those crazy 80s.
It predates punk.
Yeah.
There was no punk at this time. No one would have even known what that meant when you said, "Oh, I think this is kind of steampunk."
Right. They didn't have the base, the base of punk on which to build steam.
Yeah, they couldn't transmute steam into punk yet because they didn't have the secret.
Right. Yeah.
I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
So, Evil of the Daleks.
Evil of the Daleks.
Evil of the Daleks, in
yes.
fact. This was your first ever reconstruction, wasn't it?
It was my first ever reconstruction, and it was quite the experience.
Was it difficult for you?
It was extremely difficult for the first episode, and then I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the fact that the second episode existed and I was able to watch it normal, and then like once they switched back to reconstruction again, I guess like it sort of like set up the template in my mind and I was able to follow it much better. So I don't know what it was.
Well, I think the first episode in particular is very kind of actiony.
Yeah.
In that it kind of starts with them chasing around a truck that has the TARDIS on the back of it.
Right.
And then, they kind of go on this random series of wild goose chase thingies looking for the TARDIS.
Right.
Which doesn't end up having to do anything with the plot of everything that happens from episode 2 onward.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true because, I know that this was called The Evil of the Daleks, but by the end of the first episode, I'd completely forgotten that the Daleks were going to be involved at all. So, like, when that Dalek appeared at the end of the first episode, I was like, what? The Daleks are in this? And then I remembered the title, but
well, it's kind of a tradition in classic Doctor Who that the Daleks don't show up until the end of part 1. I don't know if it's necessarily a tradition that makes sense, but
I like that they carried it through at the end of series 1. It's series 1 of the new series.
Yeah, true.
I like that sort of. But I think it works. I think it works here. It was incredibly disorienting at first to watch and try and figure out what was going on.
Well, one of the things about the reconstructions that are very difficult is that often the video files that you get are terrible quality.
There's that, yeah.
Because these are in a legal gray area, right. And the BBC has a policy of tolerating them within a certain set of restrictions, one of which is that they're only distributed by VHS. So
right.
any digital file that you might happen to watch is illicit and is a transfer from a VHS and possibly like a second or third generation VHS dub. And so one thing that I actually kind of found made it easier is listening to the officially released BBC remastered soundtrack while turning down the audio on I keep saying regeneration, on the reconstruction itself.
Yeah, I thought about trying to track those down, but I didn't.
Because the audio is cleaned up and it's also narrated over by Fraser Hines, who plays Jamie.
Right.
So he says things like, "The Doctor and Jamie are chasing a truck. The TARDIS is in the back." Like things like that. Like the Doctor and Jamie move forward and stare in amazement at like blah blah blah, etc. Which kind of the problem with that is they don't match up quite exactly right. with the episode. I don't know whether that's because they've changed the timing to get all the narration in, or whether it's because different recordings play back at different speeds because of the technology at the time. I don't know what it is, but
that's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It was as I said, but like by the end of it, I was kind of okay with it.
Well, and this was kind of a hard one because it's a 7-part story, 6 of which are missing.
Yeah. That was definitely something. It seemed like, I don't know if it was just the version I watched, but there were like shots of CG Daleks, like very, very low budget looking CG Daleks.
I think there are a bunch of different versions out there.
Okay. Well, the version that I watched had like these sort of scenes with, because I guess that's like that's the easiest thing for them to duplicate is, a mostly motionless Dalek just rolling around in like a set. So, there was a scene where actually it's a bunch of, I think they just use the same animation over and over again where a Dalek repeatedly goes into like a closet. And so they had this animation of a Dalek going into a closet, which worked, but it was... I mean, it was very obviously the same animation because the doors kind of like swing, and it's kind of like saloon doors where like they kind of like swing back and forth a little bit before the coming to rest. And so it kept on doing that in the exact same motion every time. And so it kind of ruined things, and it didn't really ruin things for me because I mean, it would be hard to ruin something that requires a lot of imagination to begin with, but I don't know, it was funny to see that animation over and over again.
Yeah, some of the reconstructions just do kind of weird things because what they do and don't do is kind of based on the people who are making it, their kind of personal opinion about what will be the best experience for watching it, which might differ from your opinion. There are some things with like CG, and there are some things where they'll do like model shots and or whatever. For me, actually, it kind of, I mean, unless they've got actual footage from the episode, it's probably better just to keep doing the same old thing.
Yeah.
Because it jars you out of it to sort of have that sudden shift.
Well, and at first I was really confused because I was thinking like, oh, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand. Yeah, if you've got actual footage, then that's one thing to just insert like a scene that maybe you had some preserved somehow, like that's fine. But it was weird at first because it was especially weird because I didn't, at very first glance, I couldn't tell that it was like a CG Dalek. I thought it was like I thought it was actually part of it. I wasn't looking too hard, but so I was confused because the Dalek looked slightly different than what had been appearing so far, and so I was just very confused because it looked different, and I wasn't sure what was going on, and then I realized it was actually, computer animated, and I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, you may have watched a different reconstruction from what I did.
I feel like I might have.
Because I don't remember CG Daleks.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I found one online, but it was peculiar. I wouldn't recommend it.
There's also some stuff at the end that someone was making like a behind-the-scenes film about the making of the story.
Oh.
And so some footage from their behind-the-scenes film has been incorporated into some versions of the reconstruction.
Ah.
So, and that's kind of for the climactic ending battle thingy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why there are bits of that which don't actually look like they would have looked on TV.
Right. Yeah.
I think it also kind of helps that this is, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions, a particularly good story.
Yeah, I do have to say I was really entertained by it, and I really liked it. So, I think that helped pull me along, that I actually was interested in finding out, what was going to happen next. Like, I can only imagine what it would have been like had this been, Time in the Rani, if I was watching a reconstruction of Time in the Rani, and they were, talking about, like, the bat creature points at the nest of bees and says that it'll unleash the bees on you. Like, that would be really painful.
Yeah, probably. But I feel like the middle part of the story kind of suffers a little bit because it is like Jamie doing these actiony things,
right,
with a mute Turkish wrestler.
Right. When you throw in a mute person into a like, and you get rid of all of their actiony stuff, then it's a little hard to follow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though that have you ever seen Tomb of the Cybermen?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's a big mute Turkish guy in this, and there's a big mute black guy in that. It's the very next story. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I feel like I so wish that I could watch this, because the one episode that we have is just really good, and you can see so much from what you see. You can see how much of it is like just Troughton acting, because he's a very physical actor.
Yeah,
and I think you miss a lot when you miss that.
Yeah,
but I am glad that there is some way in which we're allowed to experience it, because a lot of it just really is very, very good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this story, and so yeah, I'm definitely glad there is at least some way to watch it, even if it is as a reconstruction. But yeah, I mean, I certainly like that. I do have to say I really liked that second episode, and it was such a relief. After struggling with the first episode, to just see it all play out exactly as it was intended, and that was really cool to me, because I was just so grateful. It was like an oasis in the desert. I don't know, but yeah, no, and as I said, it made the rest of the story easier to follow, because I guess I was sort of grounded in that sort of complete episode. I don't know what it was about that, but it helped, I guess.
And this story was apparently very popular at the time, because they did something they didn't do a lot, and they reran it in the following year.
Oh, really?
And they reran it in a very strange way.
Oh, really?
In The Wheel in Space, which is the story that introduces the companion Zoe.
Oh, yeah.
When she decides that she's going to travel with the doctor says, he says something like, he's like, well, I guess you can travel with us, but I must warn you, things get very dangerous. And she's like, oh, really? And he says, yeah, in fact, why don't I just show you? And so he projects images from his brain, I believe, onto a view screen within the TARDIS. And then it's sort of like the intro to to The Evil of the Daleks. And then, the next week was a rerun of The Evil of the Daleks.
Wow, that's really interesting. So basically, it got kind of meta with, the Doctor sort of... So it was kind of like a clip show almost, but not of...
Yeah, I think we mentioned previously that Doctor Who has never done a clip show. But that's just... I guess this has to count.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's just an in-canon explanation for why there's a rerun on TV.
Right, that's very bizarre. I don't really know... I don't know if I've ever heard of that before. Ever.
Yeah, I don't know if any. It would be very strange to like have another TV show that could even do that, because how many TV shows have like main characters who are psychic aliens who can project previous episodes from their brain, which kind of actually implies that the entirety of Doctor Who, as we see it on TV, is the Doctor's sort of mentally stored information about his past adventures.
Right, yeah. It almost has to be. But I mean, like, it just seems really odd to need to justify this at all. I mean, reruns are a thing that happen,
Well, they didn't happen that much back in the day.
Oh, well, that's true. So this was new territory for them, and they didn't know how to approach it. So they're like, well, we don't want to set a precedent where you can just air any old thing on television that's already been aired on television before. So we're gonna make an in-canon explanation for why we're doing this, as a way to stem off what would surely be a ton of backlash against the idea that we're showing something we've already shown.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's got to be it. I don't know. It seems so weird to me that there was a time in television history where there weren't reruns.
I don't think it's so much that there were absolutely no reruns. It's just they didn't do it a lot.
Oh.
I think it has to do with like economics, where back in the 60s, actors hated the idea of reruns because they thought it was taking work away from honest actors.
Oh.
So I think Equity negotiated to put restrictions on what could be shown and under what circumstances and for how long and blah, 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 blah.
Interesting. So was that like before the idea of royalties or no?
No. I think there were royalties, but I think it was thought to be better that because previous to like the 60s, back in the 50s and whatnot, there was more of a like they would just show theater productions live on TV, and they'd re-perform them every time.
Ah.
Like, I think Patrick Troughton did, like, Robin Hood or something that way, and it was just never recorded.
Huh. That's very interesting that, I don't know, that just seems like such a strange way to do I mean, like, sure, why not? I mean, I guess it's strange now, but I guess it's only strange because we have such a definite idea of what television is, and, television is a lot of, I mean, there are live shows, but there's nothing that can't be, like, live shows are done out of necessity, like, because you have to, like, broadcast something as it's occurring. Like, anything that can be pre-recorded is pre-recorded. Even, like, late night talk shows are recorded ahead of time. It's just, it's weird to me that, like, that's like such a weird idea that you'd, like, put on a production, like, every week or something, and it'd be the exact same thing, but you'd redo it every single time.
Yeah, and that's specific to the UK. I don't think it was done that way in the US.
Yeah. Then that I guess that, yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know, it's just so weird to me.
Yep.
So
it's weird to me too.
So once again, that's I don't know. I'm just fascinated by this idea that they justified a rerun. I don't know. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Maybe Doctor Who should do that.
Just have everything explained in the episode, like in canon, like why everything's happening.
No, I mean, like, Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi or whoever should like mention something about, this one time I fought the Cybermen on the moon, and then someone would ask, what? Wait. At the end of the episode, they'd be like, Doctor, what were you talking about, by the way? You never finished that story. And it's like, oh, well, you see, one time you know what? Maybe it's better if I just show you. And then he just kind of, like, starts concentrating and projects an image of his mind on the side of the TARDIS. And then just next week, instead of a new episode, it's an old episode.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's how they should do it. And I think they should start doing that for every rerun that, like, BBC America or, like, Sci-Fi Channel, if Sci-Fi Channel still does that, or Sci-Fi still does that. I don't know if they still have the rights to. But, yeah, I think they need to record little prequels to all these episodes, explaining, like, why, having the Doctor mentally project, blink onto the interior of the TARDIS. I think they need to do that.
Yeah, they probably should.
Yeah. Quick, Matt Smith needs to do this for all of the stories of New Who, actually, and Classic Who, too, before he goes.
Just get them all.
Yeah, might as well cram them all in there.
One of the things I love about this story, and that some people hate about this story, is the explanation for how time travel works with this time machine that the Victorians have built.
What was the explanation?
Well, it's based entirely on static and mirrors. That just as you can sort of, by putting a mirror somewhere, you can project yourself into a different place. If you have enough mirrors and enough static, you can just project yourself into the future.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I feel like it makes, like, alchemy sense.
Like Victorian sense.
Yeah, because the story, I mean, Maxtable is an alchemist, right. And he just wants to discover the secret of alchemy. Mm-hmm. And so he's doing this, like, crazy sort of, like, spiritual, projecting of images and symbolism, and, like, the symbol of yourself goes over there, and we summon Daleks through mirrors and static. I just think it's I don't know, it's kind of cool, and it kind of reminds me of something from New Who, which is the Weeping Angels, way that, like, images of the angels become themselves angels.
Yeah.
It's like the image just becomes real. Yeah. In kind of like a way, a mirror is just an image, and it also, I think it also kind of fits in with the kind of, like, completely unscientific idea of the human factor and the Dalek factor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sure. Why not? I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, it's kind of almost like steampunky kind of, I don't know.
But the thing is, like, steampunk hasn't been invented yet.
Well,
it's what, 1968, 1967?
That's true. So it predates steampunk.
Predates steampunk by a long time.
So wait, hang on. I didn't really think about this as the episode was happening. Did they explain why they were like they were trying to get the Doctor specifically, But how did they know the Doctor was going to be there in whenever he was when they pulled him out? Was it like the present day 60s?
Well, it's actually kind of funny because you know how I mentioned when we watched The War Machines that there are multiple other Doctor Who stories set on that very same day?
Right.
This is one of those. He has just left Polly and Ben. They just realized, hey, wait a second, it's the day that we met you. So in that story, when the Doctor said he senses something that he hasn't sensed since the last time he saw the Daleks, he might just have been sensing, mirrors and steam, Dalek time machine things, or Victorian time machines used to summon Daleks or whatever. But I guess they just kind of knew that the Doctor would show up
eventually,
there and then.
So they gotta figure as the Doctor's lifespan approaches infinity, he has to occupy all points in time at some point.
Exactly.
So so it's in the Daleks' interest to keeping him alive until he's infinity, and then they can grab him and kill him because he'll be everywhere.
Yeah, well, it could be that because the War Machines took place over the course of a couple days.
Oh,
so it could be that they were trying to catch him then, and they just missed him, and then he just happened to.
So word got around that this thing happened back in the 60s where the first Doctor was fighting Votan, pronouncing it correctly this time. And so the Daleks were like, oh, well, we can get him if we, send somebody to that time. Yeah, so then they miss him, but then he he just happens to come back
around.
Yeah, the Daleks were briefly surprised at the Doctor looking different, but they just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah.
They were too busy with their plans of isolating the human factor.
Yeah, the human factor.
I'll buy that explanation.
Sure. I feel like it's at least as plausible as the mirror thing.
Yeah.
From what I understand, David Whittaker, who wrote this story, and was actually, I think he was the first script editor of Doctor Who, he was like super interested in alchemy.
Oh, really?
And so a lot of like the stuff he wrote into Doctor Who had to do with like alchemy. And so there's like an essay on it in About Time by Lawrence Miles and Tat Wood, in which they kind of talk about that stuff, and it's neat. Like there's a lot of talk about mercury in Doctor Who for some reason in early 60s Doctor Who.
Okay, like mercury poisoning,
like the metal mercury, like the in the Daleks the Doctor ruins or pretends to ruin the fluid link and says he needs more mercury for the fluid link. And so they go into the Dalek city to get more mercury.
Well, mercury's...
and that's like super like alchemy powerful or something. I don't know much about alchemy.
Me neither. But yeah, sure. I'm sure that... Well, mercury on its own looks like this kind of like magical substance because it's metal, but it's liquid. It's
mercurial.
There you go.
Like the Doctor.
Yeah. There's just these layers of meaning. But, so I could see that being kind of a, like, it seems like it's been used even in other sciencey shows like Fringe, like the...
yeah, sure.
The what do you call them? The Shapeshifters had, like, mercury blood or something. I don't remember what it was exactly.
And that was probably also kind of leaning on alchemy.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
One of the things I love in this story is the human factor Daleks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they were great.
Dizzy Daleks. Dizzy Daleks.
Oh, man. I just love that. Oh, that was just so...
I love the cliffhanger, and I wish we were able to actually watch it, where there's no tension, there's nothing bad happening. It's just the Doctor suddenly realizes that the Daleks are playing. They're playing a game, and that's the end. It's the end of the episode. It's just, instead of leaving you on like a moment where, oh no, how are they going to get out of this one? It's right. What the hell just happened?
Right. It's left you with this kind of like Salvador Dali kind of thing where it's just you don't even know what's going on anymore. Like reality has completely been warped beyond recognition. Yeah, no, I love that. Like, cause yeah, that episode ended with me just aghast at what I was watching. So
and I'm so glad we have the sound recording of the voices for that, because the vocal performances there are just so awesome.
Yeah, those are really priceless. I have to say I'm quite glad of that. Because I feel like if someone had told me that this was happening, like I'd have probably been like, well, they probably still sound evil. I mean, they're Daleks, so I'm sure they're saying these crazy words like dizzy Daleks, but I'm sure they're saying it in a very menacing way. But no, it sounds like children. I don't know, I just love it.
Yeah, apparently that's what you get when you take the Daleks and you add the human factor that you distilled from Jamie.
Yeah, because I can... You mean you can't picture Jamie just, like, spinning around going, dizzy Daleks? You can't picture that?
You know, this is an idea that has kind of been ripped off a few times.
Oh, yeah?
Well, like in for instance, in Series 1, Dalek. Mm-hmm. The notion is that, like, the Dalek absorbs some of Rose's humanity and it changes her.
Yeah.
Not changes her, it changes the Dalek. And then in Daleks in Manhattan...
Oh, that's right.
There's the notion, Dalek Sec becomes this stupid thing.
Right.
But then he also becomes, like, more humane and kind of becomes less Dalek.
Right.
But I don't think it's as good as this.
No, not nearly. Come to think of it, you'd think the Daleks would get used to the idea that, oh, we can't do this because just crazy things happen. But they continue to think it's a good idea to...
Well, the thing, none of these Daleks actually survived.
Oh, that's true. So the word didn't get back to...
Maybe it just didn't make it into the pathweb.
Yeah, there you go.
Although, this actually was supposed to be the last Dalek story in Doctor Who.
Oh, so this was the first last Dalek story?
Well, this was done with a serious intention that there would never be any more Daleks in Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
Terry Nation, who created the Daleks, has said, all right, this is going to be it. And then he decided he was going to go to America and try to launch the Daleks in America as their own TV show.
Okay, I'm imagining, like, a sitcom, like, All in the Family style, like, The Daleks. And it's, like, this kind of cursive font, like, overlaid, like, I'm picturing, like, it starting off with, like, like a shot of, like, zooming into, like in New York City, like a brownstone, and then, like, it's just, like, the Daleks in cursive above it, and then, like, you get a shot inside of, like, a Dalek watching, I don't know, American television, and he's, I don't know, I'm getting this whole thing. I love it. Kind of like the Cosby Show almost, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where he was going with it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So it didn't work out?
No, it didn't. No, I think he was working on something more like about like a bunch of humans who were international space people, kind of like Battlestar Galactica, but with instead of Cylons with Daleks.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like, a ragtag group of humans who are fighting Daleks.
Right. Yeah, I could see that.
Not as good as your idea. Your idea is kind of more like Caprica.
Yeah. It was
sort of Genesis of the Daleks. Actually, no, that's Caprica. Genesis of the Daleks is like Caprica, and then this proposed series would have been like Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it didn't work out too well, because it was a stupid idea. I think it was just a really stupid idea. He's like, oh, the Daleks, so successful in the UK, I'm just going to take them to America where no one knows what Daleks are. No one's ever heard of this, and make my evil pepper shaker show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to give him the benefit of the doubt, I don't think, like, international marketing and market research was big back then, so he probably couldn't figure out that this wouldn't translate. Like,
I don't even know if Doctor Who had ever aired in America at that point. I honestly don't know.
Huh.
Maybe it had. I don't know.
Oh.
That's just so ill-conceived, the idea that would work. But
yeah.
Hey, he gave it a shot, and then he came back, and I think it was 5 years later, the Daleks returned to Doctor Who.
So and thus began the idea that the Daleks would always be Doctor Who defeated, and they'd always come back somehow. I mean, in retrospect, it seems profoundly stupid to take. Like, I mean, I understand it. I mean, like, wow, these things are wildly popular over here. I bet you could take these anywhere, and they'd be just as popular. And I mean, I kind of understand that, but at the same time, there's no way to know that would work. I
think there was also an eagerness on the BBC's part to kind of give them a big send off too, because even though they were still pretty popular, the BBC had to pay money every time they wanted to use them.
Oh, right.
Whereas the Cybermen were free. So you see a little bit more Cybermen in the time after this.
So the Cybermen, and I guess that kind of explains why the Cybermen are in some respects similar to the Daleks, because I guess it makes sense that they were kind of taken over for them.
Yep, didn't work out all that well, though. They never became, as beloved.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's sort of befitting the end of the Daleks. They kind of introduced the Dalek Emperor here.
Oh, I was wondering if that was a new thing.
Well, it was new to Doctor Who, actually. It was an idea that had been part of like the Dalek merchandise. Like there was all kinds of Dalek merchandise that had like books about Daleks, like factoids about Skaro. I obviously don't have any of these, and I don't know all that much about them. My favorite factoid that I know is that on Skaro there's a continent called Darren. Darren.
Okay, what's on this continent called Darren?
I don't know. I just know that like there's some list of continents, and one of them is just called Darren. Yeah, I'm not an expert in 60s Dalek Mania merchandise by any means. I just know that, and I think I know the Dalek Emperor kind of originates there. I think Rels might originate there too. I'm not 100% sure about that. Like the Dalek unit of time measurement.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's quote-unquote non-canon stuff that sort of ends up getting absorbed into the canon. I personally consider Darren to be canon.
Hey, there you go.
Darren is in my personal canon.
I think that's the way it ought to be.
What did you think about Victoria, the new companion?
Oh, is she like a new companion now?
Yeah, at the end they take her with them.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Well, they weren't going to leave her in the wastes of Skaro.
Oh, that's right, because they can't. Oh, yes, I forgot about that. I forgot that they can't choose where to go.
Yeah, they don't have a choice. They basically kind of have to take her with them.
Yeah, right. And that's probably not a huge deal because her dad died, much like Nyssa. It's like, well, all right, guess you've severed all family ties by death. So I don't know. She's not terribly important until the very end.
Well, her basic overall role in the story is to be in peril.
Well, yeah, okay.
Which is true to what her basic overall role is in the stories that follow as well.
Okay. Well, she seemed good at it. She seemed good at being in peril.
She actually is pretty good at it. like from the tone of her voice.
Yeah, no.
You can tell that she's not doing all right. She's not doing well.
Yeah. She's definitely unhappy.
I think there was a person in the previous story who they wanted to come as a companion, and she turned them down. So they kind of figured, they kind of said, all right.
She was their rebound.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we've got this Victoria person played by Debbie Watling. I don't know, why don't we just have her? And they did.
There you go.
And she lasted for all of a season.
Oh, well.
So, whereas Jamie just keeps going on and on.
He's like the Energizer Bunny.
I think he's the longest running companion.
Oh, really?
In terms of episode count.
I was interested to know to whom that title goes.
I think in terms of time elapsed from beginning to end, it's Tegan. But in terms of episode count, I think it might be Jamie.
Huh. Interesting. I do like Jamie.
He's dumb and he's, brave. And
which, really complements the Doctor kind of well.
Exactly, because this Doctor, I feel like the Troughton Doctor is very smart, and I don't think he's not brave, but he comes off as a little bit, he's less gung-ho, move forward, he kind of falls back and sort of schemes from the sidelines.
Yeah.
In this serial, he's completely content to, play along with the Daleks' plan for reasons I'm not sure I fully understand. He just decides, okay, I guess I'll do that.
Right. He seems to be totally okay with putting Jamie in danger. I guess under the assumption that Jamie can take care of himself. Which, I don't know how justified that is. Or even if it's true, how cool that is of the Doctor. I'm not so sure. But, yeah, he seems content with just doing that. I guess in the off chance that doing this is actually going to backfire on the Daleks, and he's going to be there to watch that happen. And that's kind of what he wants.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I feel like Jamie is kind of like Ian Chesterton just dumbed way down. Like, rendering that character down to just his most basic function on the show. Like, he is just the action guy.
Right.
Who's there to, stick by the Doctor's side, always be loyal and brave, and always, always do weird physical trials with mute big people.
Right. Right, basically be subjected to, like, this kind of Hunger Games kind of thing.
Yes.
But
that would have been... imagine if, like, the Hunger Games... I mean, you've read the Hunger Games books. I've only read the first one.
Yeah.
Now, if I read the further ones, I'm going to be very disappointed if it's anything other than a Dalek plot. Because based on the setup in the first one, it just seems like it has to be a Dalek plot.
Yeah, that, what's his name? President Snow or whatever. It's just a figurehead. It's just a puppet, and the Daleks are actually telling him what to do.
Well, see, he's dealing with the Daleks, and he thinks he has the upper hand. He genuinely believes it, but oh, how wrong he is.
Yeah. I won't spoil that for you. I won't.
The doctor kind of comes along, and he tells the president guy, he's like, do you honestly think that those Daleks are going to honor their agreement? What choice do I have now, Doctor?
That's right. Yeah, you gotta really imagine Donald Sutherland getting into that.
Yeah. I bet that'd be good.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I should put my Doctor Who / Harry Potter crossover fanfic on hold and work on this instead.
Yeah, I think that's worthwhile.
I actually do have a Doctor Who / Harry Potter crossover fanfic.
I think I remember reading it, or reading part of it.
I only ever posted the prologue. I started chapter 1, but I didn't get very far.
Yeah, I do remember reading that. I thought it was entertaining for what it's worth.
Oh, well, that's good. It's been very well reviewed on fanfiction.net.
Well, that's really...
I think someone squeed.
Oh, that's how you know you've made it.
Yeah.
Someone would squee.
Someone.
That certainly seems like a squeeable thing.
Someone somewhere right now is probably squeeing. Anyhow.
The squee heard round the world.
Yep.
I like how accepting Maxtiple is of the way Daleks do things. Like, at one point, I wrote this down, at one point he literally says, it's just their way.
Yeah, well, the thing is, anything that will help him turn base metals into gold, he's fine with.
Yeah.
He's already incredibly rich. He has built a goddamn time machine out of static and mirrors so that he can learn how to turn base metals into gold.
Yeah.
So I feel like he will go to any lengths and condone any methods, however ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
He gets his lines wrong sometimes, though.
Oh, really? I guess I wasn't listening that closely.
Well, he calls Waterfield. He calls him Whitefield at one point.
Oh, okay. I thought I misheard that. Okay.
I was very confused because I thought there was a different character called Whitefield involved, and because you can't see what's going on in the story.
Right.
Like, well, maybe there's no telesnaps of this Whitefield guy, the mysterious Whitefield.
Yeah, who knows? He just darted into and out of view, and every time someone was about to take a telesnap, he just happened to leave the frame. Like, by complete coincidence. Like, he didn't know this was happening, but, he just... this is just the way it was recorded and subsequently telesnapped.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a good performance. And I don't know what it was. Like, it seemed like the second he put on his top hat, he got way more evil.
Of course.
Like, he just seemed evil. I don't know. He really rocked that top hat.
Rocking the top hat, yes. Did the reconstruction you watched, did it have the Beatles in it?
The Beatles.
There's a scene in episode 1 where the Doctor and Jamie go into, I don't know, coffee house or something, or
right.
And there's a song on the jukebox, and because I was listening to the narrated soundtrack, I think they took the Beatles out of that because of rights issues, but there are Beatles.
I don't remember it, but I do remember there being a song playing. I don't know. What Beatles song would it have been?
I don't remember it. Okay, now I'm looking at the Wikipedia page and I don't see any reference to the Beatles, so maybe I have that wrong. Okay. So the Beatles' Paperback Writer and the Seekers' Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen are used in background music on the jukebox. Whereas the narrated soundtrack that I listened to had something else.
I see.
It was just generic Beatlesy music.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention.
I guess not.
Yeah. I'm also not that terribly well versed in Beatles discography.
Oh. Well, I can see how you might potentially miss it then.
Yeah, I mean, I know like the big ones, or what I think are the big ones, but I don't know everything.
Well, they're all big to me.
Because
the Beatles actually appeared in The Chase using archive footage.
Really?
Of a performance on a different show.
Okay.
Well, because like the Doctor has this time-space visualizer thing, and this is the Hartnell Doctor, that allows you to look at any moment in time and space if you know the correct coordinates, and he tunes it to a Beatles performance, and that's cut out of the American DVD because they couldn't clear it.
That's really funny.
It's sad.
It is sad. That's sad. That's sad on a multitude of levels. One being that because we're already missing episodes, and, basically Doctor Who episodes are precious to begin with, to think that they would excise something we do have footage of, that's almost upsetting. Like, I mean, I realize it's footage of the Beatles, but still, I want episodes as they were originally broadcast. That's what I want. That's disappointing.
Yeah, there are also some versions of Spearhead from Space that are missing a Fleetwood Mac song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I honestly have no idea which versions it's on and which it isn't.
You know what's going to be really upsetting? Is if the BBC ever loses the rights to Slade.
No!
Because that ruins a ton of Christmas specials.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of goes without saying that they can just never... They have to always... Whatever... I don't know. I don't know if they really realize whatever recording studio owns that or whatever. I don't know if they really realize the power that they have the BBC in, because they could demand any amount of money for royalties or whatever, and the BBC would have to pay it.
They really would.
It's odd that there would be rights issues with that. I mean, obviously, it's someone else's work.
It's international rights, which are negotiated separately, I guess. So.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I just think it's really good.
Yeah. No. Me too.
It's one of those stories that I just wish I could see.
Yeah, it's a shame. Although I do have to say, I have to express my thankfulness that this was a good story, because that really did help. That really did help me, watch the reconstruction.
Well, next time there's a reconstruction, you might not be so lucky.
That's true. Although hopefully I will be at least more accustomed to the reconstruction process, and hopefully I'll be able to watch it no matter what the quality is of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a single reconstruction that's like hated the most, like story wise, like
of all the stories with partially missing episodes? Let me look at the list.
Okay, like the story that nobody, that's lost and no one's really looking for.
The one that no one wants to get back. It's not really true that no one wants to get back. I mean, if even one episode of this story came back, then I'm sure people would be happy. The Space Pirates.
Okay.
Which is actually the last serial with missing episodes. It is the serial immediately prior to the War Games. It's got 6 parts, and much like this serial, only part 2 survives.
Interesting. So that's critically panned.
Yeah, among the stories that exist, it is widely considered to be not good.
I see.
Although it is written by classic Doctor Who's most popular writer, Robert Holmes.
So maybe he was just He was kind of phoning it in for that one.
Maybe. This was only the second story he wrote, and he went on to write many, many stories, especially including some very popular ones in the Fourth Doctor era.
So what you're saying is that this was a conspiracy where, he knew that he had done a terrible job here, and he didn't want his legacy to be remembered as this, so he intentionally went down to the to whatever archive place, and he intentionally destroyed this episode. Which I think it makes sense because it's the last missing episode, or last missing story. So, I think that it was probably done maliciously. I think that's what we need to glean from this.
Yeah, we really do need to glean that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in here in this list that people speak as negatively about as they do. I mean, some people really hate the Celestial Toymaker, and I'm one of those people. In fact, I probably like the Celestial Toymaker less than I like the Space Pirates, but there's a certain segment of fandom that considers it like the lost classic.
Okay.
I think that's because, back before there were recons and, you just had, the titles of the episodes and just a brief summary of what they were about. So it's this one sounds amazing. It's about, this sort of ancient evil intelligence who kidnaps the Doctor and his companions and sort of forces them to participate in these sadistic games.
That does sound really good.
It's so boring. It's just the most boring thing. And one episode exists, and it's not good.
So it could also be the nostalgia factor. People remember watching this episode when they were little, and they were like, "Oh man, that was real quality Doctor Who right there." And it actually just does not live up to their nostalgia.
Yeah, it's also kind of racist in that Celestial is an old-timey racial slur for Chinese.
Man, what did Doctor Who have against the Chinese or Asians in general?
Well, and not only that, but that serial also contains very clearly contains the N-word.
Oh my god, really?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe, but it's not tiger.
Oh my.
It's the older form of that rhyme. So yeah, it's
so this is just jam packed with racism.
Yeah.
So perhaps it's best that it's lost to time.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the story that I would least like to see returned. I mean, if it's returned, I won't turn it away. But yeah, I think the most universally sort of disdained story among all the lost ones is probably the Space Pirates.
Okay, so if we come across those in our randomizer, then we know we're in for
a treat.
Okay, well then, there you go. As long as it's not those, I think I'll be okay with reconstructions going forward.
And then one day it will be.
Yeah. And then my metal shall be tested.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, I guess.
Until then,
I have a question about our randomizer.
Oh, sure.
We said we were only going to do classic Doctor Who, right?
Yes, plus the other random stuff we threw in.
Yes, right. I was thinking about it. There are New Who stories we have not talked about on this podcast.
Yeah. I think I brought that up in the first place, but you didn't want them in there. I could throw them in there though.
Yeah, was it me who said we shouldn't? Because I
don't mean to accuse you.
No,
but...
it's no. That sounds like a thing I'd say. But I'm now going to reverse on it because I feel like that might be cool. I think it might be cool if we talked about New Who stories.
Okay.
I don't know what I was thinking.
So let me go through this.
I guess not that I want to not do this all of a sudden, but you don't think this is a bad idea, do you?
Oh no, I'd love to do this.
Okay. I'm just concerned about how much we'll have to say. But maybe I'm just not thinking of the bigger picture. Maybe we'll have a lot of things to say.
I'm sure we'll have enough to say. And if the episode's short, that's fine.
Yeah. I think that's fine because we've had short episodes about classic series episodes. So yeah, that happens.
Yeah, so that's another 55 stories to add to the randomizer.
Ooh, sweet.
Just a reminder, we also have in there the Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 movie.
Right.
As well as K9 and Company, and a few different Big Finish stories. I might as well tell you, actually, because I picked Big Finish stories.
Oh, yeah.
For each Doctor that I thought we should talk about and throw into the randomizer.
Okay.
So for the Fourth Doctor, I picked Wrath of the Iceni,
Okay.
which is a pure historical
Ah.
featuring the Fourth Doctor and Leela.
Huh.
Then for the Seventh Doctor, I picked Master,
Okay.
which is a story featuring the Seventh Doctor and the Master.
Ah.
For the Eighth Doctor, I picked The Chimes of Midnight, which features the Eighth Doctor and his companion Charlie Pollard, which is not a companion that you will know about,
Okay.
because it is not. Well, the companion we heard before was Lucy Miller. This is not that.
Huh.
For the Fifth Doctor, I picked Spare Parts,
Okay.
which is a Cybermen story
Ooh.
featuring the Fifth Doctor and Nyssa.
Ah, cool.
And then for the Sixth Doctor, I'm going out of order here.
I noticed.
I picked Davros,
Okay.
which is a play that prominently features Davros, but does not prominently feature the Daleks.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there you go.
Huh. Cool. Those sound interesting.
If you strongly object to the sound of any of those, I can swap them out. I just picked them kind of. I based them on a combination of both my own personal opinion and also which plays ranked most highly in the Time Scales, which is a site that has user reviews for Big Finish plays.
No, those sound good to me.
Okay.
No, wait, did we also... No, I'm guessing we did not include the TV movie.
Oh, I think that's in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we haven't explicitly talked about that. Although we have talked about that, we have not talked about just that.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there under its actual title, which is just Doctor Who. So I may get confused if that comes up in the randomizer. If I see. So next time we talk about Doctor Who. So
It's a wild card.
Yeah, it's just the concept in general.
Yeah, that's yeah. There you go. Well, that's good. Good, because because if it wasn't in there, I would suggest we put it in there, because I feel like that might also be an interesting thing to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of occupies its own little section of Doctor Who history or whatever.
It's true. It is not the quote unquote classic series.
Right.
It is its own thing. Anyhow, shall I randomize our next story?
Sure.
All right. So, adding to the schedule, after the evil of the Daleks, we shall discuss Blink.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
Now, that'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just out of curiosity, how has this changed the balance of things? How many classic Doctor Who stories have we yet to discuss?
Well, I added 55,
Right.
and there are now 196. No,
Okay.
195.
Okay, so there is about... so there's about a 1 in 4 chance that we'll get a new Who story.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Roughly. A little bit more than 1 in 4, but, I'm of course, rounding.
You are, of course, rounding.
But yeah, okay, wow, Blink. Well, I have that one on DVD.
I have that one on DVD as well. I could get it on Blu-ray.
Yes, you could. And you would get it in glorious 1080p, whatever that constitutes.
Hey, well, it would have at least 96 additional lines.
Well, those 96 lines are precious.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe that is worthwhile though for collectors. You think? Like, well, not in the UK, of course.
I just can't imagine what season 1 would look like in 1080p.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine it would be greatly improved by it.
Yeah. No, I can't see it. Well, I can see it if I buy it, but I can't picture it looking good. I don't know. That seems like a high price tag to pay for something that's could not possibly be that much better unless, I don't know, unless they have it recorded in like pristine sound that like the HD sound will come through from the Blu-ray. But I don't even think that would. I can't even. I don't know.
It's strange to me that they held off on converting to HD for as long as they did.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like. Well, I mean, I guess it's difficult to compare to American television, but because I mean, Lost was recording in HD. But were they recording on film maybe?
Oh, I don't know actually.
But yeah, like a lot of. Well, when did HD become like a big thing in the UK? I mean, I'm assuming it happened at a similar time that it happened in the United States.
I don't really know when the time scale of that is. I do know though that the first season of Torchwood is in HD.
Oh, that's right, it is.
I actually just rebought it on Blu-ray.
Oh.
Because I saw a good deal.
Ah.
So I figured I've only got that on DVD. Might as well get the Blu-ray instead.
Yeah.
For I'm hoping to fit Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures into my big marathon.
Ah, yeah.
We will see as I approach the anniversary date whether that's feasible. But
Right, yeah.
in any case, I would like to rewatch both of those series.
Yeah, I'd like to, I also own Torchwood Season 1 on Blu-ray, but I haven't really watched it. I've watched, like, the first few episodes, and I guess it just didn't really grab my attention enough to persevere, but I do want to watch it all.
Some of it isn't very good.
So I have heard.
Although, I kind of, am eager to give it another chance because, I don't know, I might change my mind about it.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Who indeed?
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that is odd. And I mean, I guess maybe just Doctor Who didn't have the kind of budget or whatever that merited it, but, it seemed like maybe it just wasn't popular enough. In my mind, it was always popular enough, but I mean, clearly at some point it got canceled, so it couldn't have been popular enough the whole time. But yeah, no, I feel like, certainly now, I think it's kind of, well, it's even getting put into 3D, so I guess they're not making the same mistake twice, is what I'm saying. But now that it's become popular enough, they're willing to afford it luxuries.
Well, I mean, it's only the 50th anniversary special.
Oh, is it? So
that's going to be in 3D. They're not putting the whole.
Is it
They're
actually
not putting the whole series from now on in 3D? And in fact, BBC has announced that they're scaling back their 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what was previously available in 3D that they're scaling back?
I don't think anything yet, but the things that well, I don't know. I know there's probably some programming that's in 3D,
Yeah.
but they were kind of ramping it up, and they have decided to scale back their ramp up, basically.
Well, it's at least they caught it before they actually went up and did it. I don't get 3D television as a whole. I don't understand it.
In general, I really do not like 3D. Mm-hmm. I like it on the 3DS though. I like the 3DS a lot.
Yeah, no, I like the glasses free 3D. I think that's cool, but really, I don't want to put on a pair of glasses to watch TV. Well, I'm already wearing a pair of glasses to watch TV. I don't want to wear.
Yeah, I don't want to wear an additional pair of glasses.
Right. Yeah. So that just seems unreasonable to me.
Mm-hmm. It's unsustainable.
Now is Doctor Who, is the 50th anniversary actually being filmed in 3D, or is it just being made 3D after the fact?
Well, I hope they're filming it in 3D if they're gonna
right.
put it in 3D.
Yeah, I would hope so, but I know that I guess is that like the more cost effective solution to just do it in post or whatever?
I honestly don't know. I do know that they're releasing it in cinemas.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if they're doing that here though.
They should.
Yeah. They probably should. Because given that it is in 3D, I would probably like to watch it in 3D.
Right.
But only because it's Doctor Who. I wouldn't say that for almost anything else. But I want to see that. I want to see it as intended.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, at the same time, though, if they do gimmicky things with it, I'm not cool with that. But assuming that it's just in 3D for being 3D, yeah, I definitely would like to see that and experience that at least once. But not owning a 3D television, I have no intention of, or I don't have an intention to own a 3D television. I don't think I'd ever be able to experience that from within the comfort of my own home.
Dimensions in Time was in 3D.
What? Really?
Yeah.
So they had the red and blue 3D glasses?
Yeah.
What?
They did. It's true.
What? That's really peculiar.
Yeah, it is a little bit peculiar. This was back in 1993.
Wow. So, was it only available in that format? Like, when you looked at it, you saw it in the red and blue sort of off-colored whatever?
To be perfectly honest, I don't really know. I think so.
So,
I mean, it was only aired once.
So, is there no way to watch it 2D?
I mean, you could watch it without 2D glasses on it. I mean, it's not going to look great no matter what, because it's not really great looking. It's kind of... I think there were only parts of it that were in 3D. Like some... I don't even know enough. Like, I've seen it, but I don't really know what was intended.
Did they have some sort of gimmicky, in-world prompt? Oh no...
It was very gimmicky. The whole thing was gimmicky. I mean...
So is there a point where oh no, we're going into 3D world or something? Put on your 3D goggles or something. I want that to be true.
No, it was not that.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, it wasn't red and blue. I'm reading on Wikipedia. The special was one of several special 3D programs the BBC produced at the time using 3D system developed by American inventor Terry D. Beard that made use of the Pulfrich effect.
Okay.
The technology required spectacles with one darkened lens and one transparent one. These were sold in shops to the public, with the proceeds going to children in need.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well then. So it would look normal to any 2D viewer?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Wikipedia.
And they will never commercially release this either.
Why not?
I think that part of the contract agreements that were signed with everybody basically said that this would only be broadcast once. It would never be released on home video or anything.
That's an odd thing to put into a contract.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
unless they knew it was going to be terrible and they were just like, listen, we're just going to do this once for charity and never speak of it again.
Yeah, I don't know what the motivation was there. That may well have been it.
Like it was some sort of pact, like a, I don't know, a tontine or something. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, no. What it was the actors and crew were working unpaid.
Oh.
Because it was for charity. And so the idea was that it could never be shown again or like sold for profit.
Couldn't they just sell it for charity?
They probably could, especially since, children in need still exist. They could. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess it's a mystery.
I think that's the episode title. Darren is in my personal canon.
I think so too. I think that's perfect.
Anyhow,